Hey students, in this lesson we'll learn about the basics of life processes. We all know that living organisms are made up of many organs like lungs, heart, liver, kidney, etc. All these organs are made up of diverse kinds of tissues to perform their functions. These tissues in turn are made up of many kinds of cells. Such ordered organization of living organisms can be damaged by environmental perturbations. So, to retain this complex organization of living organisms, there needs to have some repair and maintenance system. Now, all the processes required for maintaining this complex living organization are known as life processes. So, we can define life processes as the processes which are required for maintaining the complex, well-organized structure of living organisms. These life processes can be subdivided into 4 sub-processes like nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion. Now let's have a brief look on nutrition. We all know that we require a lot of energy for our day-to-day activities like walking, singing, dancing, etc. We also require energy for growth, development, maintenance and synthesis of essential components like proteins in our body. This energy is also required for carrying out the vital functions in our body like digestion, respiration, circulation, etc. So now, can you tell me what is the source of this energy or from where does this energy come from? Yes, you are right. It comes from the food that we eat. The food that we consume is basically a carbon source like sugars or carbohydrates. I'm sure you might have heard these names somewhere. These are the main components of our food that give us energy. There are some other sugars as well like glucose or lactose. These are the simplest sugars. Now, different organisms consume different types of carbon sources depending on their complexity. As we just learned that animals consume carbon sources like glucose, lactose, etc. These carbon sources are organic in nature. On the other hand, plants consume carbon sources like carbon dioxide. These carbon sources are inorganic in nature. Plants use this carbon dioxide further for synthesizing their own food. This means that plants can synthesize their own food while animals cannot. Now, the organisms that can synthesize their own food are called autotrophs. So, we can define autotrophs as the organisms that can synthesize their own food. For example, green plants and some bacteria. On the other hand, the organisms that cannot synthesize their own food are called heterotrophs. So, to define heterotrophs, the organisms that cannot synthesize their own food are called heterotrophs. For example, animals and fungi. So friends, with this we'll end up this lecture. To summarize, the processes that are required for maintaining the complex, well-organized structure of living organisms are known as life processes. They are majorly divided into 4 sub-processes: nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion. Next, we studied about autotrophs and heterotrophs. So, autotrophs are the organisms that can synthesize their own food, for example, green plants and some bacteria, while heterotrophs are the organisms that cannot synthesize their own food, for example, animals and fungi.